It's Monday and it's 2 p.m., which means it's time for another live here at My World of Crochet. And my name is Dina, and normally I do have a name tag in the corner, but we are still waiting on a new computer. Basically, I need to spend some time researching it, and that's probably going to be this weekend, maybe. Anyhow, I am super happy to see you guys around, and feel free to come and say hello as you jump in. The goal of today is to continue working on Fleur. Fleur is the mosaic blanket that I'm working on, and I have less than 8 rounds to go, or rows. Technically, it's a round because I'm working it in the round, but you could also call it row if that's what you want to do. And I have this sort of hope that I'd like to have it finished before next week's yarn talk video, Friday. Crossing my fingers on that one. So, I have it here next to me, and I'm just going to see if I can untangle it all, because I am currently working on cream, so cream is on my yarn spindle. And the green still needs another round before I can change that color. I am working with a 4mm crochet hook, and let's see, here it is, Fleur, my friends, and I'm gonna move a little bit back so I can actually sort of untangle this, because I do have all these threads hanging from it, including obviously the working end. And then, as I have 2 cakes attached to it, because every row is a different color, or maybe that's wrongly said, every second row is cream, and every second row is the background color. In this case right now, that's green, and then it will be bold green soon. Okay, so I almost have it untangled. Now, here we go. And as always, I should get my camera down, because that would make life so much easier. Hello to any new watchers. Don't forget to hit the thummies, hit the likes up. Happy to see you. Welcome in, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where the world you're from. Here in the Netherlands, currently it is 4 minutes past 2 p.m. So it is afternoon, and right now outside, my friends, it's snowing. I don't know if Nightblood is already here, but we can try. But it is snowing right now, actually. It is. It says it's 1 degree and conditions are snow, which is true. It is snowing, and it's blowing from west southwest at 15 miles per hour, and the current temperature is 96. So that's probably pretty accurate, actually. So let's get the camera down so you can actually follow what I'm doing today. Ta-ta. And I don't want to put you too far down, but neither do I want to not have you far enough down. I think it's nice for you guys to be able to see what's actually going on. So I have a nice stack of yarn that I untangled. The 4mm hook. And then we'll just basically get started. Here I am working on the single crochets. I've done, of this current row, which is the 8th row to go, so to say, which is why I'm saying less than 8 rows, because it's not 8 full rows. I have done one side of the 3, so I'm a bit more than a quarter away on this row. And it will be absolutely amazing if we can do this full row and maybe some more before the end of the stream. But it's just crazy how time flies. And I really hope to have this one finished before the New Year's, but I eventually failed. I could have had it finished had I focused a bit more on it earlier this year, I think. And I just maybe have been a little bit too optimistic about my time and availability for the month. Let's see. I just need to keep track on the pattern here. Because this row, there is a few things that is differentiating from the previous row, which means I need to keep that in mind so that I will end up making a correct result. Then we need to do 14. That's all the way over here before the 7 double crochet. So let's mark the next piece. So this is row 122 for those that's curious. So I've already made 121 rows, and we have 129 in total. So including this row, if I just begun, I would have 8 rows to go. But technically, we're gonna be below 7, I'd assume, at the end of the stream, unless you guys inspire me too much to do other things. I could have been a little bit longer also. I have to admit, and I have to be completely honest on that. I did cast on for a new rib knit beanie, these chunky rib knit beanies in some of the, I have this, how can I call it, mill end yarns from Ice, which I casted on. And that did take a little bit of my time yesterday. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Perfect. And I did do that intentionally because for those of you who may be watching this live right now and did watch my Decrease My Stash 2025 epilogue, as you have seen, I did actually, generally speaking, use more yarn, at least weight-wise and skein-wise, in 2025 than I did in 2024. I have a goal of still continuously to decrease my stash. And one of the reasons that I feel I could have done more in 2025 is because, especially the last maybe 2 months, I haven't been good enough at having an ongoing project that's an easy project, you know, the projects you can sit with behind the TV, so to say. 2, 4, 6, 7. So I chose to cast on that. I didn't do much. I've done like, I don't know, 5 rows rib knit at best on 8mm needles. And as I said, you know, it's just cast on and it's laying there for if I need a quick something, something I can do and work on mindlessly. I think we all need projects like that. That is why I chose to spend a little bit of time to cast on, especially because, you know, it is now already, we are in 2026. I still need to get used to saying that. But since we are in 2026, I think that it doesn't really matter much because obviously I wasn't going to finish Fleur regardless then. And it wasn't because I was just missing an hour of work and then Fleur would have been finished either. So I actually chose to do this to ensure that I would have the time to do so. Let's see, I need one more stitch. So that's me proactively making sure I have projects to be ready for working on for these mindless projects. I also need to cast on the cowl, which I haven't cast on yet either. That is knit. Plus I have the bag that I need to sew some pieces together, and that will take some more time than what I currently have here. Let's see, I did 7, 14, 3. Then it's again 14, 7, 14. Okay. So it's just, you know, I just need to have more projects lined up and prepared to easy bring with me. That is pretty much the conclusion here. And I'll also need to have something, yeah, for when I'm on the go or whatnot. And some of these projects are rather good for it. So I just need to be better prepared. The challenge is when I have more WIPs ongoing is that I sometimes get a little bit more the hinge to work on specific projects than I do other projects that might or should have priority. And then if that happens, you know, and that's probably what's happened with Fleur, is that it takes longer to finish them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, perfect. So yeah, what's the better thing to do? Do you believe in having multiple WIPs, or do you prefer just having one, maybe two? I think the thing is, if I'm then not in mood to find Fleur like this, and if you haven't noticed, like I'm sitting with a blanket on my lap right now to be able to work on this side because it is rather big. It's just not something I bring with me on the go or bring with me to the couch when I'm watching TV, mainly because of counting. Like I can't be bothered then also to follow TV. Now I hear my microphone is doing funny. So I am just gonna check how that one goes. Should have it though. Okay, we seem to be on. Hopefully you can hear me without issues. If you can't hear me, please let me know. Please, please, please. But I would say yes. I just feel like I should have more options. Right now it doesn't give me a bunch of them. This is anything but technical aspects for the stream. Yeah, no. I don't know. We should be good, I guess. It's just a silent day. It is Monday. Most of people, I guess, are back to work after all the Christmas. I hope everybody did have a good Christmas. I had a wonderful Christmas. Could always stream for different things, but that doesn't necessarily always mean that they happen. But I think I had a okay Christmas. I also had a decent New Year's Eve. It was a little bit sort of, I can't find out if I found it a bit sad this year, because this year is supposedly the last year where they are allowed to legally do fireworks here in the Netherlands. Though I'm quite sure that that will continue the coming years. Anything else would surprise me. But it's banned or prohibited. So they can't buy it within the Dutch borders. They will have to then go to Belgium or Germany to pick up fireworks, which I'm sure they also do. The question is then just how much will people get stopped at the border, or will they take a different route to from the border to prevent getting caught? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And that is the big question I cannot answer, you guys. I don't know if it's gonna be one or the other. But that kind of feels sad because there was some lovely fireworks to be seen. I think they also broke all sort of sailing records for selling fireworks because of obvious reasons. Everybody wanted to get some extra to enjoy and maybe even to stash up for next year, like knowing that it will be more difficult to get a hold of. I don't know. I guess another reason for me going to be missing it is because for many years we have had the luck that we just have to go outside of our home, and then there is absolutely gorgeous fireworks to be seen at all, more or less all four angles of our house. So it feels really weird, I guess, when it's not there. And it's kind of sad. And it's not because we, as a household, have done much fireworks. In fact, we haven't probably really bought anything for years because we can get to enjoy everybody else's fireworks. But yeah, or maybe I don't know if the government or the regions will start then to do more shows, because something will replace if like kind of have to replace. Yet that said, it's now 3 years ago that we celebrated New Year's on New Zealand, and they also have a ban against fireworks. And I didn't feel I missed it back then. So I guess it also kind of depends on what it's made up to be. Could be, at least. But yeah, anyhow, we are progressing nicely here on Fleur, and of course I also have the other projects laying around, waiting for my attention. Dun, 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 dun. So this should fit with 246, then 3, then another 6, and then we're back to the long haul one. So we are halfway on this side, which means that we're almost halfway on this round. And I guess with everybody being silent today, it gives me so much more time to practically work on this, because we aren't looking as much to other things. We are not getting distracted. Also, do not forget your drinks. I have my tea next to me. Also, I am currently using this. I wished for a beanbag kind of thing, which you can heat up in the microwave, and then it kind of helps keep you warm. I did warm it up because, as I said, it's snowing outside, but it's slowly turning into rain, which is logic because it is getting warmer. It is about 1 to 2 degrees outside, so eventually it's not going to snow anymore, right? Eventually. So. But yeah, with the lack of distraction today, we may very well end up getting much more done than I had expected, which would be really nice. Because I'd love, like, if I'll do a round a day, I'll be finished for the yarn talk video, which is a really nice goal, I think. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Need to move it a little bit along. We need one more round of the green before we'll change to the next background color, which is bottle green, so that's a darker green. And I have to say, I'm so sad this green doesn't look good on the stream, because this is the most gorgeous green, but you can't see it on the stream. You can't see it's greenish, but it's just not nice in the same way it is in real life. It's more like an emerald green. The one I see with my eyes is an emerald green. And I care to believe that my eyesight is pretty okay, so. Now we need 14 single crochets. In that sense, this row is pretty okay because there's a fair amount of single crochets. When you just have done the first side, the other sides do make a little bit more sense. They go a little bit quicker. Part of that is also due to the first quarter of a row or round. You do much more counting, but the 3 other sides are exactly the same. It's just a copy, right? You just repeat what you just did. And then it's much quicker to compare. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Perfect. And for those curious, I do have my yarn spindle here, but it's not in camera, especially not this cream one, because it looks so solid white. It's not really camera friendly. I need to make my screen so dark, but the contrast is just, my camera is killing it. So maybe I need to wish for a different camera. Like, maybe that is something that I should put on my wish list. So that's the real question. What did I do here? I just did instantly to the next 7. Okay. Oh, split yarn. Don't split on me. The yarn wanted to split, and I asked it not to split on me. So yeah, don't forget to hydrate. No. I decided to put some music in my headset. I can't share with you guys due to copyright laws, but I am listening to some music. I decided to put on 2 cellos. It's a Croatian band. They just play cello, but they make cello versions of all sort of modern music. And there's no much audio. Well, there's lots of audio, but no singing, no lyrics. So that's pretty nice. That is usually working out pretty well, I think. Especially when I need to concentrate to chit chat with you guys at the same time as I'm streaming. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Because of course I do hope that a few more gonna pop in at some stage. Could also be that you're already there in secret and disguise. And if that's the case, do say welcome. Thank you for hanging out with me. And I can just ramble on. I need to start next week on recording the stashing of my stock in Ravelry. And we're going to go through all of my stock again. And I've been thinking of then maybe to go through the solid colors I have for the twisters, because I have been considering not using it. So we're doing the advent calendar for the Heart Collector shawl, and I've been considering using a different yarn. Well, not completely different yarn, but some different colors for the center, because I'm not 100% sold on it right now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Correct. Then we're supposed to have 6. We're almost at the corner here. Yeah. Before we do 4 in a corner, yes. I have been watching The Great, so Catherine the Great series. It's on Netflix. I've been watching multiple episodes of that, and I think I'm about to start on. I think I'm still in season 2, and I need to do the last episode and then season 3. But they just made 3 seasons. Not bad, definitely not bad. It is quite a bit of a hot series in the sense of there are lots of personal enjoyment included, should we say, in nice terms. But I like it more for the historical aspect. That said, they're also very clear about not all of it is the true story in this. Some of it is fiction and some of it is based on the truth. But I think the idea is generally quite nice. And it's a nice period in time to watch back from, you know, women fighting for equality and stuff like that. So what I should do now is, because I just got to the corner and I just finished the corner here, so I'm gonna insert my stitch mark and turn it around. As you can see, we did the corner here. I am about to continue here. That will be double crochets, because this is the same as what I did with the prior section. I'm going to move a bit back to do the quarter moving around of this whole blanket, because it's way too big to have all on the table. It's a bit of an undertaking, but we talked about that a few times. the undertaking here. You can see where I added the cream. It did unravel a little bit. I should actually weave in these ends, but I've gotten to a stage where I've been debating on just weaving in my ends all the way to the end. Yeah. But these I might do sooner. Technically, I can do it when I'm done with this row, because then I know for sure I don't need to frock it. And that's based on if I have to frock the green. But at the same time, I think I'll just end up weaving them all into the end. I think it's easier. There's so few rows to go. There's so few ends that will be added. I'm probably gonna get another cream to add on it. I have it caked up already. It's ready to go. The only downside is actually I realized that is upstairs. But I won't finish off this cake during this live. I know that's too. We are gonna have one more round of the green, and once that's done, we're going to add the bottle green. But that's first after another round of the cream. And I realistically know how long it takes for me to get through these rounds these days. You know, I've done quite a few lives with you guys, and it's not exactly going faster as the rows increases, because every time we do a round, there's another 8 stitches to be added. But right now we are just chipping along. I have to say this was pretty quick actually, this past side, so who knows? Maybe it is going to be a quick one. And if that's going to be the case, there are 2 options, but I really don't think we'll reach it. But as I said, there are 2 options. Option 1, I'll pick it up, or option 2, I'll grab one of my other whips and work on it until the end of the stream. Now I think that was one too many. It was, I'm quite sure. Should be 13 here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. There's 13 knots. Frocking back 1 stitch. Then we did 3, and I think it's 14, isn't it? It is. Three, 14, 7, 14. So we'll do that. So we're more than halfway through round 122, my friends. That is nice. Good afternoon, Helen. Nice to see you. I am working and rambling along. Hopefully this fella gets finished next week. This week is optimistic. I've had nothing else to do this weekend. Maybe. But I think I go tired of it. So I might end up doing something else. I did cast on for a new Rip Knit Beanie, where I used my Christmas present. This is the short wires I got from Knit Pro to my Knit Project Door knitting needles. And I've done, I think, maybe 5 rows of knitting. At best 5. So that's ready, so I can have something with me on the go or behind the TV or whatnot, because it's an easy project. I already made with the same yarn a different Rip Knit Beanie. It's the red yarn I have. But this time I did cast it on needles that is 1 millimeter larger in diameter, so it's larger size needles. Then, of course, I just need to work on that when I'm watching TV or something like that. That's the main goal for that, just to finish at some stage. It's not a priority. The priority right now is 100% this one. But there is still sometimes where it's not practical to work on this. Or if I just have 10 minutes or something like that, you know, I might be able to do a round of knitting or 2 rounds where this, before I even put it up and ready to go, it takes much more time to untangle the whole project to get started than it does practically working on it. So, of course, here I did already do some pre-work before this year, so when I'm finishing one skein here, I wouldn't say it's necessarily cheating, but it does help with the length consumption of yarn. The rest of this yarn, we talked about it a few times. The plan is that I will use that for some scrap beanies. I'll likely triple strand and then also work them on 8mm needles. And then just add the colors as they run out. In a similar color pattern as this, maybe I'll have the white run through if there's enough. And then just slowly add the colors as they come. I've not really calculated too much on that yet. So we did this. I'm quite sure it's now 7. I just need to double check. 14. 3 I did. 14, 7. It is indeed 7. But yeah, it's crazy how time flies. 6, 7. There is no doubt I'm looking forward for this blanket to be done and dusted, so I can put my focus onto a lot of other projects I have in mind. This side is really going quick with this repetition. So I'm curious if that will be the same when we get all the way around and do the next repetition, or the next row, so to say, if that's also a speedy one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So we'll do 3. Then I believe it's like 6, 3, 6. It is. I like when I can actually remember this without, like, I only confirm the pattern right now. I more or less remember it out of my head, based on the first part of the rows, right? So that's actually pretty cool. It's my good memory serving me well. I'll have to say we don't have the biggest plans for the weekend. Of course, I am going to do a bit of training this evening at the club, and then further, it's planned to be a chill weekend for now. We'll do another 3 here. Which means that we are right now halfway on this side. And then we have like 1 side to go. So that's nice. It goes smooth. Smooth sailing. I am thinking, next to the projects I've planned already for the year, I have this feeling it might be a year of shawls, to be honest. Shawls or scarves. Looking at the stash I have, there is lots of cakes wanting to be used. Oh yeah, I do need to do accounting this weekend. That's the boring part. And value that taxes and stuff like that. Yep. The boring part of an adult life with a business. So then we can need to do 14 across of these single crochets. Oh no, yarn split. No. You'll redo with a stitch. Better, 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 better. Do you have any big projects planned for this year? Any big crafting projects that you'd like to get done? Like, do you have goals? Something like that. I think personally, I'd like to keep improving on my knitting. and I'd be loving the fact if I could use more yarn than I did last year, and obtain less. But I also know that I won't be able to not buy yarn. I'm probably going to buy something at some stage. But it would be really cool and really nice if I could use up some more. So that is a nice aim. And yeah, I'd like to definitely improve on the knitting aspect. I know it takes less yarn to knit a sweater than it does to crochet a sweater. And I do have some yarns I'd like to get a sweater from. I also think the knit often is a little bit thinner fabric, so a bit more airy and flowy. So that does help a little, but it's not necessarily it depends on what you want to get from it, I guess. But I'd like to be able to do something. And some of it, I don't know if I can find patterns for that particular yarn. So maybe, if I could develop my skills so well that I can design my own. Wouldn't that be cool? Like the ability to just from your head make your own patterns or something along those lines. That would be pretty awesome. Like I've always been good with math, so really it shouldn't be an issue. It's a little bit of calculation, like you figure out how many stitches goes to X length, make some measurements, and you jump into it. Like it's speaking to me. But I had many great ideas also earlier this summer, but I also had some this autumn. Awesome. Look, it's not that much left here. So it's another 14 single crochets across here. So yeah, we held New Year's here at home. We had some pastries as a starter with turkey ragu. And then we had some fries with coleslaw and very, very tender spare ribs for main course. And we had this sort of meringue roll with cream in for dessert. Was not bad at all. That was definitely not bad at all. Guess what? We only have one side to go in a few, which means we'll pop back to green then. And I'm looking at how quickly this is going today. I may get more done than I had bargained for. That, my friends, would be awesome. But at the beginning, of course, that will be more calculation. Let's see here. That should be 6. What we'll do here at the end is obviously I'll turn around the project and then it's time to hydrate. If you haven't hydrated yet, don't forget to hydrate or grab something to drink if you haven't done that already. We also have a coffee and a tea in the corner here. Feel free to refill your cups. At today's social hanging out and crocheting event. It's actually corner turned, and yet I'm sort of proceeding with a few stitches because I just can't leave it. But I should just give myself the break and turn this work around. Look, I did the corner. Don't know if it's okay, great. As I said, I have tea. Today's tea is a Russian Earl Grey. That's basically an Earl Grey tea, but with a slight hint of lemon. Lipton claims that it's Spanish lemons. So we'll trust Lipton. Assume it's going to be Spanish lemons. So time to quarter this blanket around. Here we have the starting because you can see all the ends hanging there from when I decided to do what not. Which means we have just one side to go on this round. And once that's done, my friends, it's color change time. Then we'll change back to the green and do a round of that. So round 122 is almost completed. It's cheering me on here. Generally not really made many mistakes. I had one which I made, but that's many rounds ago. Slowly, it was like in December or so, and I fixed it. I think I will have to look really carefully to be able to figure out where the mistake is. So I made a creative fix. And I think that's sometimes needed. It also tells me that as a crafter, a crocheter, my skills is improving. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. And that's nice, you know, like, I think we all like the confirmation of the improvement of our skills. So I do for sure. Can't believe it's already the 2nd of January. And it's snowing again here. It's one of those days. But the snow doesn't lay. It doesn't stick long enough. It just falls and then it melts a bit. Yeah. There's a few places where it's still a bit snow laying from this night snow. But it's just about cold enough to snow, but not cold enough to keep staying, if that makes sense. Which probably means I need to consider wearing different shoes later today, because my current shoes will be cold and I'll be wet. I need my boots on when I leave the house. Mm-hmm. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm just getting some more yarn. From the spindle. Yep. We're getting there. Meanwhile, it's gotten to be 3 p.m. here in Central Europe. 2, 4, 6, 7. 3 p.m. Who would have thought? Technically, it's 1 to 3, but that's almost 3 p.m. Good morning, Megan. Happy New Year to you. I hope you had a great entry into the new year, that you got to spend some time with the family and those you loved on the New Year's Eve. I'm wishing everybody a happy new year, of course. I spent time with my partner and my mom-in-law here in the Netherlands. We had a nice, cozy evening, enjoyable evening. We were playing some games, actually multiple different games. We did have fun, so that's nice. Then we went outside watching the fireworks at midnight, and of course, we cheered and Happy New Year's and all that stuff. Had some great food. So that was nice. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. You also stayed at home? Yep. We did go outside at after midnight to say Happy New Year's to our neighbors and so on, because that's all in pretty much, like, it's just across the street. We do live in a residential area, and we had great views to the fireworks. And it was wind still. It was chill, as in it was like not freezing cold, but it wasn't warm either. But it was really good weather for watching fireworks. And given that this is the last time that they actually have, or that fireworks isn't prohibited in the Netherlands, of course, there was a lot of people putting up fireworks. So we got to enjoy fireworks for a good hour almost outside. So that was pretty nice. That said, I don't believe people will fire off fireworks next year. So I'm sure people have bought extra and stashed up, and there is still, since we do have a free border passing, people will still cross the border to buy fireworks to fire it off. So, yeah. I did, though, find and look in my stash for alternatives to the solid twisters for the hat collector shawl. And I did find myself having, what were the colors again? I'm just going to pop onto hubby's website shortly to check. Just called cake yarn. We have the twist solids. I don't have, or do I? I think it was a Friends collection, so let's jump in there. Of the Friends collection, in my stash, I do have the Off-White. I believe it was named Off-White. I'm just quick checking the number on it again. I took pictures and I put it back in my stash. Sounds like something that would be logic me. Yes, Off-White and cream. Off-White and cream I have. And I also have Off Twister, but it's not Twister technically. They are grays. So I have a gray and I have a light rose. I think it's named. Yeah, light rose. So I do have some alternatives. So what I was thinking actually is to maybe go through my my unicolors of the twisters and wheels and yarn art flowers. Basically, that's all what they are. And I can get all of that stocked on my Ravelry. Plus, we can have a good look at what could be a better option for that. I think the white could be pretty pretty in the hat collectors as well as the center hat up there, just to make it different, right? But yeah, maybe when we get closer to that, what I could do is I could oh, what is it called? Like I'll bring them on a live and we'll look at them during a live or something like that. That's an option. Maybe. I'll definitely do another video with them all and compare and think. And 2, 4. Sorry. See, 14 fits. So yeah, I'm just thinking because I'm the reds. While it's the best contrast, it just does seem off. It's too different. And the others aren't. Like, they're not bad, but they're just not it. If that makes any sense. Yeah, that was my thinking. Basically, one of those might be better off. And yeah, I'll first know by doing it, I guess. Let's see. I need to do 14. Yep. I did the 7. Second 7, so I need to do 14 first. Okay. Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm thinking. So basically, I'm probably gonna, because as I said, I want to get all of my stash into Ravelry regardless, and try to keep it updated so that once everything is stacked in Ravelry, I can easily keep track of it. And then I need to be really good at keeping it updated as well. Hello, Suzanne. Good morning. Happy New Year's. I hope you had a great New Year's Eve. And for those who's curious, it is snowing in the Netherlands quite a bit right now even. Oh my goodness, it is all white what's coming down. I'm not even sure if you can actually see that. I could try, but I'm not sure because it's a bit dark in this room. But I'll try by taking off my camera. Hello. And see if... Look, it's snowing. Ta-da! It's snowing outside. That was my garden, by the way. Oh my goodness, yes, it is freezing in New Jersey, but it's not snowing at least. Here it's snowing, and it's falling down steadily. Don't know if it's gotten colder since, maybe, but it is a snowy day. The thing is, you know, the snow you see right now, there is probably 1 centimeter on the ground, 2 centimeters is best. So let's say an inch. But people can't drive cars anymore. Instantly, the snow falls here in the Netherlands, and all the Dutchies just go stupid in a car. It wouldn't be the first time that I'm in a car swearing away how people can't drive. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And yeah, unfortunately, we are still on the basic YouTube backend stream. My computer does handle it a lot better though, so that's positive. But I still need to get a new computer ordered. So that is a goal for this month. And I had something else I had wanted to do, but I didn't get it done before the New Year's. Time ran. Let's see. What I need to do now is 6. Susan says she's finishing up Mish's friendship beanie in the Hobby Lobby. I love this wool. Nice. What I said earlier this stream is that next week I'll be starting on the recording of all the sorting of my yarn into Ravelry. And yeah, we'll basically see how that goes. And I think I'll start with my solid cakes maybe, because then it gives so much more sense if I pick out cakes for that for the hat collector shawl, which is the next big project once this is complete. That said, I'm not sure if I'll start it immediately. It could be that will be a week or 2 before I get it started. It kind of also depends on everything else that's going on or what other projects there are, because I do have a few projects planned, as you know. But also, I did yesterday cast on another rib knit beanie. I did not make much on it, but I did decide to cast it on for the purpose of having something that I can easily bring with me on the couch. So I did 5 rows at best. It is the exact same copy. So I already made one, which I have the copy of right here. You have seen this one before. Just classic red rib knit beanie, nothing fancy. This I made on 7mm needles. Now I cast on the same yarn, same amount of stitches, but on 8mm needles, because it feels a little bit too stiff. And I even washed this one. So now I just cast that on. Ooh, need to take the yarn with me. I have the mill ends here and the very first few rows made. And I'm using these shorties, which are the Knit Pro Jadors that you saw if you were on the stream Friday. So that's the 8mm needles, shorties. And hopefully going from 7 to 8mm will make it a bit less stiff. That said, this yarn even is wound up pretty tightly and it feels a bit stiff in it. So it might be just it's the yarn. And in that event, I'm taking it as a learning process. I'm getting better at rib knitting. Not that it's a dire need, but I'm getting better at practicing it. And, you know, I'll donate it to a shelter or something like that. Crisis centers, sheltering for homeless people, people in need. Because I'm still sure, especially if you're looking outside right now, wouldn't a beanie be nice with the snow? And it's still plundering down with snow outside. Like the snow flocks right now are thicker and bigger. Susan is trying to use up her random one skeins for hats and beanies. I will donate the hats to my local food bank next week. Good plan. I think the food bank is kind of the same. What I mean, you know, like your shelters for homeless people or people in need. I don't know if we have food banks that would accept them though. But I'll go through them and I'll donate them to one place or another. The worst thing that could happen is that I may end up bringing them with me to Denmark and donate them to the local place where my mom volunteers. She hasn't done much, obviously, the last year because of her health. But that might still be an option. I don't know if they would want them. I'd have to ask her. Meanwhile, we are halfway through this row, which means, or row, side, which means that we are soon heading into greens again. And I can officially say we have 7 rows to go. Susan says, great, even try larger size needle for man-sized hats. So the thing is, I have a pretty big head myself. The circumference of my head is like large to extra large. Like, I had the second largest head of everything that everybody that graduated high school back then. Like, not that I feel I have a large head, but the circumference around apparently says I do. So I already kind of used my own head for some measurements. And so what Kelsey does for her 8mm, Kelsey from Passionate Goods, she makes these often with different stranded yarns and so on. Also multiple stranded yarn. This is 2 strands. She does 56 stitches, right? I have 64 on this. So that is, and that fits with the repeat also of the decreases and so on. So for those that's curious and want to have it a little bit bigger, try 64. That also works for the 8mm needles, and that makes them just a little bit bigger, and you have, it still fits exactly with the decreases. When you get to the decreases, it's perfect. So that's what I'm doing now. So that was 64 and 7mm needles, and now I'm doing 64 on 8mm needles with the same yarn, in the hope that that is fixing this somewhat stiff feeling. And if it's not, it goes straight into the donation basket. I will make one that's basically goes for people in need. They want to open up a refugee center in our municipality, not too far from where I live, actually, like 2 kilometers away. And that could be an option. I don't know if they would accept those for the winter. I'd have to check. And the other city, they have, and I think that's a great idea, by the way. They have this cupboard, which is like a shared street cupboard where you can put in things you no longer need. So it's like the street library or whatever, but it could also be food. And you could put in, like, if you have something left that will be in 2 weeks, it's going to be over date, so to say, then you can add it because you know you're not going to eat it before then, and then you make somebody else happy who might want it. I don't know if that could be an idea to add things like that either. So that could also be a suggestion. 2, 4, 6, 8. So yeah, the idea is probably that I'm practicing my knitting skills and I end up donating these hats because, you know, since it didn't go softer with the wash, which I kind of had hoped for, then I'm not sure if it would really go a lot softer in any case. And then I'd rather give it away and have somebody to be happy than to maybe sell it and then somebody gets disappointed, if that makes sense. So that's my thinking of it. Then I'd rather just make somebody happy by giving it away. Plus, I got to practice my knitting skills. We do have a homeless shelter in the city, which could also be an option. But if I did that, it would probably be closer to when I could take the bike there, because it's like on the opposite side of the town, and getting there with the bus is going to take like ages. It costs more than I would care to offer on it. So it could also be that I'll just collect it for now. Optionally, I could also just put it on Facebook and say, free to come and pick up. I'm sure there's somebody that could use it. I know, but that's only periodically. So one of the value stores I sometimes visit, 6, 8, 10. This one's too little if I counted right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah. So in one of the value stores that I sometimes visit, they sometimes have a big garbage bin, which is clean, but inside the bin, and it's next to the cashier, you can buy yarn and you can dump it in that bin, and then that yarn gets donated to a crafty group who makes various crafts from it, which I think also is a great idea, actually. But I don't know if you could donate free items to it. Maybe I'll need to Google a bit what options there are here in the Netherlands, because it's not really very useful if I need to bring all items I want to donate to Denmark every time. That's just rather inconvenient, actually. Especially because, you know, when it's made, eventually you do like to get some room back. It takes up space, right? So, oh my goodness, yarn is splitting on me. Give me a moment. That was better. So I might need to actually just do some research to see what I can do. Hey, Revenant is here! And you're like surprising us by gifting away a membership to my channel. Thank you so much. You have been speaking and sneaking in the background here. What a surprise. Happy New Year's to you. I hope you are having a most wonderful time and that you got well into the new year. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here and I can't believe it's the 2nd of January already. I'm like, that's 2026. We just, my friends, went through a quarter of a millennium. Right? Or is it century? Sorry. Millennium is full to my thousands. I think. Yeah. No, not a quarter of a millennium. We're not that old. I wish. Quarter of a century, yeah. Quarter of a millennium would be pretty impressive because that would be like 250 years old. 10 times as much. Great. We are back to my awesome math skills, as I just said earlier today. Oh, I have great math skills, but clearly I can't use them for the right terminologies. But yes, quarter of a century. Isn't that crazy? So I looked at my partner and said, so we're ready for another quarter of a century, then I'm almost with retirement. Unless I did something machinating before then that I don't need to work or I can retire or whatever one could wish. But I mean, age-wise, I'll get closer to retirement and when I could get my official retirement from the government and stuff like that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah, lots of anniversary celebrations plans for New Year this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy how far we've gotten, right? So I plan my next trip to Denmark. It's going to be in March, where we're going to do a delayed birthday celebration with me and my parents and so on, because we haven't had celebrated any birthdays since my mom got sick. So that's last year. And we had wanted to celebrate it when I went there in March last year, but she was just too sick to do it. And henceforth, it's it's been postponed. But also this year in March, Monday after the weekend we're picking would be their 35-year anniversary. So we're like kind of making this small celebration of everything, not a big event, just a small thing, family coming for lunch and afternoon coffee. I still think it's limited how much my mom can do. So it's more like a come along small thing. But I think it's nice to kind of get it back up running again. So that is definitely planned for this year. And that is also in the same week, actually the day after the anniversary, my mom needs to go to the CT scan for her checkup. And hopefully we know more by then. 10, 12, 14. And I don't know what we can hope for, but yeah. So, and the results of that we'll have like on the 31st of March. So it's still going to be like a long time. It is very evident that my mom is doing better than she has been. My partner can also clearly see it, but of course, she still has off days. She still has a long way to go. And we still don't know if she's actually declared free of cancer. It is a likelihood it's still there in the background. That is what we'll first know in March. Unless something happens before then, the doctors has been very clear and say, if you feel unwell or if you feel you're getting worse, call us immediately. But until then, it's just get strength. And she will need to gather strength in the event that it's still there and that they will attempt another treatment. But yeah, so it's another 3 months of waiting, basically. Patience is a virtue. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Hopefully, yes. Hopefully it will be a nice celebration of the anniversary. It's just, we'll have a birthday and a bit of family come along and we'll say hello and coffee and stuff. Right? That's the hope. I'll be there alone. I'll leave my partner back here. He doesn't have the freedom as I do. I'll bring my work with me there, which means that's going to be another week where I won't be home and won't be streaming and stuff like that. So I'll need to bring projects with me. But I should be fine. 2, 4, 6. I had a good New Year's Day, went out with a wife and had Bavaria tacos, and then went to a bookstore, picked up the Fahrenheit 451 and Dungeon Crawler Call. She got several Philip K. Dick novels. That sounds like you got some reading to do. Always like a good novel. It almost sounds like Christmas, to be honest. And Susan is asking Ref what is on your hook. We are all always curious on what's on Ref's hook because he is the most busiest blanket maker I've met in my days so far. Too far. Except for maybe the designer of this. So Anke Wintermans, I saw a post from her on, I think it was Instagram, or was it on Facebook? I don't remember anymore. Anyhow, she said she spent 88,000 meters of yarn in 2025. That is like somewhere between 5 to 6 times as much as what I did. That said, she doesn't have a full-time job. She is a full-time designer. I guess that helps a bit on your consumption, but still, that's crazy. And I'm not the quickest of creators either, or crafters. Let's see, 2, 4, 5. And the corner I already did, so I should just end on 4. I do. Awesome. Then we need to close it in. Which needs a little bit of a corner. That was it. 2. And we have 1, 2. So that is my 3rd row of green. So green is good. That was row 122, my friends. We are about to start our row 123. We have exactly 7 rows to go. 7. And my goal, that is no secret, I want to have this one finished before Yarn Talk with you next week. But every time I put a goal on finishing this, we all know how that goes. But that is a goal. I said it out loud. So that is still the goal to do so. And we are, from what I can see here, doing a corner, and then we have 2 double crochets. like that. And then it starts with 9 singles, which goes on there. Perfect. Yes. Okay. So it's time to flip the work around and get the situation of all these tangled yarns sorted. My goodness. That is as close as you can see the whole backside of the blanket. But we are gonna make a little change around here. Let's see. Oh, no. Don't tangle yourself in. That was better. So we are gonna take off the cream here. And we're gonna keep it on this side. The tongue. And I'm just gonna wrap it up a little bit. Not much, that was almost too much. And we'll add on the green. We have green here, my friends. Green is back. Green is back. I might have pulled a bit too much in the cream. Okay, so what I did here was, now I need to check how that goes. So I did the corner correctly. That was a corner and 2 double crochets, the 9 single crochets. And that's going to be 13, 3, 13, 14, 7, 14, 3 matches, 14 matches, 14 matches, 3 matches, 3 matches, 6. That matches all the way to the center. What I should do is I should get a stitch marker and mark the center. And then it's easy peasy, because the only difference is basically this first piece, and then it's the same all the way to the center, which is different. And in the center we have, this is the center. Yeah. In the center here, we have the 3 double crochets, 3 single, 3 double. Here we do 4 and 4, so it's just a single here. So here it will be different. So I'll put in a stitch marker for me to remind myself this is the center. And what I can do basically is to do those 9 single crochets here, which is a different part. And then I just need to mirror what I did the previous row, which is basically, you know, here is the 13 single crochets. I need to do 13 double crochets, and that limits my counting and increases the speed I'm able to work with without making mistakes. Pro tip from me to you. I don't know if you would have done something similar. Romanet says, still doing granny squares, working on the 21st of the 25 squares. My goodness, are you still onto those? It is a fair amount to say, because it's going to be like for a queen size bed, right? Like queen size bedspread, I thought. Susan says, like stitch markers. I don't like too many of them though. For example, when I'm casting on, and when I did cast on for this knit beanie, I did every 10 to help me count for the cast on, because I won't count to 50 without like eventually losing count. 8, 9. So, you know, I'll do the stitch markers every 10. I'll just take them off as I do the first row. But it's just to help me count my cast on stitches. Especially because it's with double stranded yarn, it's a lot more challenging to count afterwards. It takes a little bit more focus and stuff. So I did say that we were just copying, didn't I? I did, and it is. Here we go, my friends. Meanwhile, we're about halfway through this stream. Will I be able to finish screen today? That I'm not so sure about. I'll be pretty close. Well, maybe I will when I get home tonight. That's an option. But right now, it's I'll see how far I get. I like that it's easy. Like it's not a lot of crazy counting this, you know, because it's so simple with just doing the negative of the previous row. Susan is asking me how I like the shorty needles. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm like yay and nay. I don't feel that they slide super smooth as I had hoped, but that's mainly from the needle holding the stitches onto the needle making the stitches, if that makes sense. So I have actually been deciding if I should needle downsize on my left hand needle. How can I explain that? If I use my right hand to create the stitches, then if I make a smaller needle size on the left hand, that should not impact the work, but it will make the stitches slide a bit easier. And there with this, I should be able to knit a bit faster. Is that a method anyone has tried? Please feel free to share. I'd love to hear it. But that's what I've been considering doing. So sizing down the left needle to, like, let's say a 7 or maybe even a 6 millimeter. I don't know if I have a 6.5. I don't think I have. But now I'm curious. Oh my goodness, it's far away. It's far away. Try wrapping a dryer sheet on the needle. It can help with that. Also works with plastic crochet hooks. Maybe, but it feels more like the stitches are, well, that's because I knit tight, I guess. I do have 7, 6, 5.5, 5, 4.5, and 4. So I'm inclined to, and the part of it, I need to make sure this still sits in. A part of it has to do with this going bigger. You know, there's still another smooth end here. So it's like smooth and smooth and smooth. And I guess need to check if it would be better on, let's say, because even the 5 is much smoother on this piece than the thicker needles are, because it goes from round to the squares. You can kind of see it here. It goes from the cable here and they increase slowly, but it still comes in a sort of, and I feel the tension on mainly from this piece and then to this piece a bit. So this bit. But I'm not so sure if it's due to the shorties or if it's just due to my stitching. Because the needles themselves feel really smooth and nice, and it goes well knitting. Another option could be that I remove the shorty I have on the left and add my normal sized, the normal length one. But then my cable is going to be extremely tight because let's just do 2 stitches before my yarn rolls on the floor. Whoopsie daisy. Because I feel I need to push quite a bit to get them on this bit, this piece. So that's just when it goes from this thinner part to the bit thicker part and then goes on top of the wood. It does need a bit of push, and therefore my thinking is, because this bit flows nice and easy, the yarn flows nice and easy over, that's not an issue, but it takes too much effort to get the stitches on there. And that is why I'm thinking a smaller needle on the holding end, so to say, would probably solve it, because this goes easy to get them off, but here it doesn't flow as smoothly. So I think it's probably due to the needle size combined with my stitch tension and stuff like that. Further than that, I really like the needles so far, but I've only done 5 rows, so I'm not really sure if that's a valid assessment point either. I'm gonna use the regular needles for the cowl. Also because I will have 2 sets running, I'm likely still doing some rib knit beanies while I'm working on the cowl. I still need to cast on the cowl. Yarn is laying just in front of me. I just need to find time to do it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14. Loosen up. I feel I'm doing it very loose. That's the crazy stuff. But again, I'm not. But yeah, so that's the thing. But I can't loosen up. I've tried. How do I loosen it up? No need to keep switching out needle sizes every row. No. I didn't want to switch needle size every row. Because, I just keep working around. So from the row that it leaves, so to say, my thought was to maybe have a smaller needle size, because I never use it to go the other way around. But ideally, of course, I wouldn't need to do that either. And I do not have the patience to knit this on double pointed needles. Like, fuck no. Sorry. Like, I'm fine with closing it off like that because it feels a lot better. But I'm definitely not gonna knit a whole hat on double pointed needles. Yeah, exactly. As you said, I'm working in the round, so it's less of a hassle. It's still a hassle, but Hela says she's heard about it but never tried it, but she does believe it should likely help if you are a tight knitter, which means that it would be perfect for me because the evidence is clear. I'm a tight knitter. And there, henceforth, I'm probably also fine with the 4 millimeters on the sport weight yarn for the cowl. So yeah, that's basically my current thinking of. I have been debating on sizing down a bit just to see if I can make it slide a little bit more smoothly. I did try join in a different way, and that worked out shite. It did not look as good as what I was already doing, so I had to frog it all because I couldn't save it. I tried to, but I couldn't. And cast on again. So that did cost me a bit of time. It probably cost me an hour's work on Fleur. But as I said in the very beginning of this stream, when I decided to cast on this hat, I also decided it was an okay thing to do, because it was quite evidently clear that I was not gonna finish before New Year's Eve when I did so, since that was already past and I'm gone. But we are now having less than 7 rows to go. And we are talking full rows, obviously, so. It is progressing nicely. Now it stops snowing. Now it's melting again. It's one of these days. Snows, melt, snow, melt. We need some yarn. At least we are getting some yardage done today on the stash. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. That makes me proud and happy. Oh, need to hold this better. Yep. So the end conclusion, obviously, is that I did use more yarn in 2025 than I did in 2024, yardage-wise. It's a difficult thing to compare. I think I might have used thicker yarns in 2025 than I did in 2024. which kind of therefore helped weight-wise, but not necessarily length-wise. I don't know. But what was quite interesting is that it only differed like 200 to 300 meters in total. So that's kind of like an average consumption, if that makes sense. Now let me just check. I think it was 414. It is. Who would have thought that I'm considering dropping my poncho? My goodness. Because it's warm. It's not something I say very often that I'm having a warm time. Maybe the blanket got me warm. So I am gonna just shortly pop into my, I'm gonna take off my headset for a minute and take off my poncho. Because I am warm. Good gracious. Very warm. Which I guess is a good thing because I'm always cold. Okay, so I took off the center because we got to the center. That was the differentiation. We did that. Now we can work all the way to the end, more or less. The difference is the last, not even 20 stitches, the last 12 stitches. And then when I turn it around, I'll again add my stitch marker in the center, so I know where to pay attention. Easy. So let's just crack it on. It would be pretty awesome if I could get to do, let's say, at least 2 more sides. So I just have 1 side to go on green before the weekend. Then maybe, who knows, I could reach to finish this weekend. It depends kind of actually on everything goes on this weekend. I don't know. It's a dream, but reality is I need to get back into the fitness center. I haven't done that much this December, so it's just been quite a bit of an expense. And I don't know what other plans we have. Need to get some things sorted. So maybe we'll finish it Monday. Plan is, wait a minute, no, Monday, I won't be live Monday. Or will I? No, because I was live Monday, so on Monday I'm not live. On Monday is just a working Monday for me. Yep, nothing special on Monday. But that means that on Wednesday, who knows, I should be finished by Wednesday. We'll have another project on Wednesday to look at. Hallelujah. I am expecting, then I should definitely have everything listed and ready. Gonna look into making choices for heart collectors, maybe. Oh, no, Stina, you're making errors here. Did 3 singles, and that was it. Doubles. Yeah, on Monday I won't be live, but I'll be live again Wednesday. And normally I would be Normally I would have done a yarn talk video today, but I didn't because we hadn't finished Fleur yet. And at that time, I hadn't started that many projects to chat about either. So I ended up deciding going live instead. So we'll have a yarn talk. So we might switch the Fridays I go live. It could also be that I go back to just doing the yarn talks on Friday, because I then again have more projects to work on. I'm not completely sure. Time will show. I think it's been working out nicely when I mainly had this one project to work on, that instead I pop live doing it instead of only talking about the same whenever so often. The benefit of doing the yarn talks is it does free up some time to do other things that's craft related too, and it's useful for this channel. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I'm not completely decided what I'm going to be doing once I'm done with this. It could still be that I do a bit of mix of everything. It could also be that I do a yarn talk and then every second Friday we'll stop my Ravelry. But it could also be that I should do that every second Monday when I am, regardless, not live. That's actually also something I've been considering. That is also a really good, nice plan. Obviously, as you know, I will have to do those pre-recordings of those videos ahead of time. And this year, I've not been good enough at planning projects for that, for when I haven't been around. I need to be a little bit better doing that. And we all like looking at yarn. Currently, my Ravelry has, yardage-wise, about half of a year's consumption stacked and stashed, ready for usage, which then technically means that I should definitely be able to finish all of the projects I mentioned in the Shop My Stash and Advent Calendar series. There were 5 projects, so I'm kind of expecting to be able to finish all 5. And that's even with me working on Fleur, but I should be finished with Fleur next week. Maybe already this weekend would be awesome too. But I'm not too optimistic. I know I will definitely be finished next week. Reverend says, I'm doing fantastic on my yarn diet. I have not bought any yarn for an entire year so far. You mean for this entire year? Because I haven't either. For the entire year, I haven't bought either. My yarn diet is also going great. And yep. Just need to get around sorting it all in the Ravelry stash. I don't know why I didn't do it back when I sorted all my yarns. Honestly, I should have, but I also know that would have taken so much more time than the time I had available while I was also recording those. And for some of the yarns, I definitely still have a fair bit of that yarn also in my stash still. You have 100% used more yarn than you had bought in 2026. Take those when they come up. I definitely have. That is for sure. My goodness, I've used lots of yarn already this year compared to what I bought. Percentage is rapidly increasing. I have to say, that given some of the projects I worked on this year didn't use up full skeins, I have a feeling I might have used a bit more yarn than the labels indicate, but also the skein I'm currently working on, I started on last year, so, but it's going to count towards this year, right? And in fact, it's actually, technically, it's going to end up in my scrap stash, but I know that I'm going to use it for those scrap alike beanies. So. And that's going to go quicker because I'll double strand them. And when I'm doing that, you can then also say that the yarn isn't getting consumed as quickly because then I'm using up scraps that I technically have listed as used. But some of the scraps I have left, I'm just going to open my box here next to me where I'm kind of collecting the scraps from Fleur. Some of them are, let's see, a very nice example would be the center. This is the center color. That's it. That's how much left of a 100-gram skein. I'm still going to use this for a beaner, but it's probably just enough for a cast on, so I don't even know if that makes sense. But then the next color I use is the claret. That's this one. Again, this was 100 grams, so I kind of consider it used. But I have it because I am going to use it up completely. But this was probably counted as used in 2024 because, well, I know it was. So it's a scrap. So my scrap yarn isn't in my, like, unless I have a label on my scrap yarn, it's considered used already. So I guess it will never be 100% accurate. But it's a nice approximate. And since that you keep rolling it over and what you were working on at some stage, you'll still get to a reasonable average, if that makes sense. I was so nicely surprised that I had used 12, no more, 18 more skeins in 2025 than I did in 2024. I used more cakes maybe in 2024. I do feel I've used some cakes this year though, not this year, past year. If there's not enough yarn left to make a bean, it is used up. Well, I'm gonna multiple strand them and I'm just gonna roll them all into scrap net beanies, I think. I don't know what else to use it for. It seems weird not to use it for anything. It's definitely scraps. So it's just gonna be turned into a scrap project of some kind. It could be scrap beanies, if that makes sense. So triple stranded, color changes randomly, who knows? Something along those lines. But not because I need to weave in extra ends. The color ends when there's nothing left in that sense. I like a good scrap then. Yeah, you could say that's the same in this case. Though it doesn't need for me to send you my yarn because 0.1 tariffs and 0.2, this is too thin for you, I think, because it's just a 4mm needle. I think some of it could maybe be good for examples, like tutorials, maybe. So I'm not completely sure, but I'll find out. I think I'll have enough left on some of it to make beanies by double stranding them. but definitely not all of the colors. I have more than enough of my own scraps. Oh, it was just being polite. But it's going to turn into some sort of scrap project. I do have multiple scraps laying. Actually, I need to change my scrap basket box into a different, because it's split into two right now, and that's not good, because that means I have too many scraps to have it in one. 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And I genuinely need to kind of collect them at a bit more sorted scraps. I need to organize my scraps a bit better. That's a goal, I think, for 2026. Sort my scraps better. We need to turn this around, because I just did a corner. See, we got the corner done here. Hello, good morning, Lisa. I needed scrap blankets that turned out cute. Just got a stitch. Small throws, not gigantic bed covers. Just scraps of the same for weight worsted yarns. Also an option. I don't think I have that much left. I can actually do that with this though. So that's why I'm like considering scrap beanies or something along those lines. I do have some leftovers where I think I might, especially once I'm done also with the neck. So as you can see, after this row, I'm changing to the button green for the background color. And I will have plenty of yarn left. Like I'll still have like half a skein left. So I'm probably gonna like double held that with something else and so on. And then when I'll see what I have left of scraps once they are done. That's my plan right now. But it's still sort of considered done because it's out of the stash for what I needed it for. And it goes into my scrap pile. Let's see, I need to find the center again. That would be this one. Yeah. The reminder stitch marker. When I get to that is when I need to pay attention again. I still need to pay a little attention, but that's, you know, the first 12 stitches, and then that's a mirroring of what I did. So Lisa, I hope you had a great New Year's. I can tell you it is snowing here, or well, now it's dry again, but it's been snowing today multiple times. But it's also been melting, so it's kind of like an off snow. And the birds are happy with the bird seeds I put out in the garden over the last bit of holidays. Of course, we won't have as much snow as you guys do, but it is snowy. My best bet is still about a centimeter of snow, because it keeps falling and then it melts and then it falls again, but it's been one of those days. The weather in Winkler is very cold. It's partly cloudy with a temperature of -3 degrees Fahrenheit. That's equally negative 19 degrees Celsius. The wind is blowing from west at 7 miles per hour, and the current humidity is 68. Raise your hand if this is you. Good question. My New Year's resolution is to finish all crochet projects from 2025 that I should have one done in 2024 since I started them in 2023 after buying the yarn for them in 2022. That's this blanket, my friend. Right up your alley. I bought the yarn for this in the summer 2022. Oh no, summer 2023, almost. So I bought it for them in the summer 2023 in July or August. And I started on it on New Year's Day 2024. And now we're well into New Year 2026, and I'm almost done. 2 years. I told it to my mom-in-law, and she shocked herself. Like, she was like, "What are you telling me? Have you been busy for so long? My goodness." But she had seen my granny squares for the bag that I'm making, and she thought that was the ones I've been spending so much time. I was like, no, this blanket. And she saw it, and she was like, "And what are you going to use that for?" I'm like, "I don't know yet, but it's staying in this house. I spent so much time and effort for it. I'm definitely not going to sell it. Unless, of course, somebody's willing to pay a fortune for it, but then they could just do it themselves." I've seen some bedspreads this year be sold on the marketplace here in the Netherlands for just barely the costs of the yarn. And this piece in particular is too nice, too beautiful, too much effort for me to even consider just selling it for the price of the yarn. Yes, Susan, it's a cold place in Canada. Reverend says, "Well, I must be off. Have a wonderful weekend and happy stitching." Thank you so much. And thank you so much for coming and hanging out. Thank you for gifting away a membership, and Happy New Year's to you. I hope I'll see you next week, Wednesday, when I'll go live again. So if everything goes according to plan, I should be live on the 7th again. And if you're lucky, I might be able to show you a finished blanket. Actually, I kind of hope I will be able to, because this is going smooth right now. And knowing that after this row, there's only 6 rows left. And I should be able to do 2 rows in the weekend of a day. It's not impossible to have it finished for Wednesday, I think, if I put my head to it. And I don't watch too much telly and sleep too much and stuff like that. But we'll see. Worst case is I'll finish it on Wednesday. Only need to sew in ends. Four, 6, 8, 10. Yep. On New Year's Eve, I counted the ball bands I started keeping after I moved into my yarn room in May. I counted 153 ball bands since May. Oh my Christ. How do you do that? I'm impressed, lady. I'm impressed. Genuinely impressed. I can't do that. That said, I probably also don't craft all the time. I craft a lot, but I don't feel I can keep that pace up running. I did use more ball bands in 2025 than in 2024, though. We'll see if I can keep that up when we get there. But for now, right now, I'm just cracking on. And we'll see where it ends. I honestly don't even know how I did that. Well, I don't know either, darling. But I can tell you I'm not able to do that. Well, maybe I am, because I'm not sure if you did see my epilogue for the Decrease My Stash 2025 series. But in there, I mentioned, especially the last couple of months, I was not very good at having an extra project that I could bring with me to the couch. I did, as long as I not had the scrunchies to do, I was doing some scrunchies while on the couch if I was watching something with my partner. And this is why I cast on one of the Rib Knit beanies, even though I'm working on this. So I took some time yesterday to cast it on, because then I have that to work on for, let's say, if we're going for a few hours to my mom-in-law, or if I'm in a car somewhere, etc. I just have a project with me, and it's not a big project, so it's done like that. You did see my D-Stash finale. So my goal is basically to be a bit better at always having something that I can work on when I'm doing other things, like which I don't necessarily need to be able to count stitches for, or need so much space as I need for Fleur, stuff like that, right? And who knows, maybe I'll make another Ultimate Sacrifice shawl. They're great, you know, once I get those started and I'm on the fan part of it. They are so easy repeats that I don't think I just do. And that would help me use up some of my cakes. That's actually not a bad idea at all. So that is a thing I've been considering too. So it might take time to make them, because I won't be working on them relentlessly. But at the same time, we also do have some projects for the Shop My Stash series where I clearly show the yarn for the plans I have for it. And I think especially the cowl will be an easy one once that's cast on as well. That's good. But yeah, I just need more of these easy projects. Let's say, call them easy projects. Yeah, I always have a small project in a project bag to take with me when I leave the house. I never leave without a project. Yeah, so I've not been good enough to do that. Also, I have to say, and I could have done that, I could have crafted in the car on the way to Denmark. It's 9 hours drive. I did drive half of it approximately, but I just didn't have the energy or the puff to craft. I wasn't in the mood. So I didn't. But I had it with me, so I could have done it. I just chose not to. But I think maybe if I had something knit cast on that was easy and not thinkable, I probably would have. I think a part of it was I still had to do those the squares for the granny squares, and I needed to sew them together and stuff like that. And I still need to sew them together, but I did finish now all the granny squares. So there's that. I also know that I will buy yarn this year, because I do have a project I want to start at some stage, but I can first start that when I get some yarns, because I have a great idea for it, but I'm not so keen on one of the colors that I got, and I can use that for something else, I'm sure, so that is not concerning me. But I want to make sure that I then can make what I want, if that makes sense. But I'm trying not to buy too much yarn. I'll definitely try to buy less yarn this year than I did last year, or I have to craft more. I started a knit cowl as well, but I'm using a different pattern. Okay. I like the simplicity. I didn't cast on yet, but that will happen this month for sure. I think I'll cast on for that once I'm done with this. With this blanket. That's probably when I'll slowly cast on for that. Because right now I'd rather have this blanket finished. And I know I'm less likely to have it finished for next week's yarn talk if I cast it on. I'm making I'm making a laconic by Expression Fiber Arts. Is it on Ravelry? Because I'll have to go and have a look. Laconic. Let's see what it says. It is. Looks nice. See if we can share. It's on Ravelry. Susan meanwhile says, I need some ideas for a very thin yarn that's not a shawl. How much do you have? Question. Meanwhile, here we have the laconic. It's like a cowl, multi-layered. Nice yarn. It also looks quite thin, actually. Spot weight, yeah. But I don't have enough yarn to make this one. So I'll stick with the other one. But it is pretty, this cowl. That was my music, by the way. I was curious. 2 cellos is what I'm listening to. I can't share the music with you guys because I wish to, but there's a few things right now. Point 1, I'm on the YouTube simple backend. Point 2, copyright. I'm not using her colors though. I'm using the yarn. I'm using 3 shades of pink and a green. Okay, sounds nice still. Manifold cakes of thin yarn in all different fibers, and not a shawl or cowl. If you have similar cakes, like you could consider like a hexi cardigan or something like that. You could also consider like a capelet, or like a short poncho, if it has to be wearables at least. If you have grandchildren, granddaughters in particularly, you could consider small dresses. That is, if it's not tomboys, of course. That would be like really lacy and nice flowing. Lisa says her daughter is making a hexicati with 2 Sultan Deluxe cakes. And of course, the question is, if those cakes are similar to the hubby cakes. I have some, I think it's Yarn Bee Spiness up in my stash that I want to see if I can figure out a design for show for the future. But those of you who sometimes visit the Hobby Lobby, is Yarn Bee Spiness still something that's actually obtainable? Like, it feels really soft. Yeah, I'm afraid we might just get to the center of the other side, but we'll see. I have Rena cakes, yarn art flowers, Sauber mouse cakes, and others, all thin yarns. Yeah. Some of those I think you've got from Mishi then. Sounds like what she would have. But do you have multiple of the same or just one? Or do you have cakes you think could be combined and still look nice together? Because let's say if you have like a dark and a light, it could work as one side, like, you know, like yin yang concept for, let's say, a hexicadi or something like that. Or if the flow after one another, like you have colors where the ending strand often could be the beginning strand of another cake. Lisa says, I'm waiting on new crochet hook, so I'll be starting on the Leon hexicadi. And Susan is, how does garment work up with thin yarns? I have a vest which is upstairs, which is thin. It's made in like Hoppy's twister yarn. So that is for, like, I think it's made in a 3.5 or maybe a 4mm crochet hook at best. It works out pretty straightforward, I would say. I would recommend to see, like, if you want, because you can then consider either ponchos or cardigans, vests, even shirts / sweaters. But then you would need to somehow be able to combine them, because else I don't think you'll have enough yardage unless you're making it child-sized. So that could be worth considering. See if you have something like, if it color-wise would match or could work together. You could garment-wise probably on Garn Studio, which is the Drops website, except for the pattern written is not the best to read. But you could maybe, let's see, we want crochet and we wanted yarn group, which is the A lace / fingering. Like we have there are also not just, they also have vests and sweaters crocheted. That could make up pretty nice, but it's likely worked in the round, and therefore you would need to be able to join them somehow. Let's see, just quickly, crochet hook, 3.5mm, goes size XS to 3XL, and let's say Yeah, so the challenge is of course the arm, so you would probably need to look more like t-shirt wise in that event, but there are definitely options to use thinner yarns with a t-shirt. This could actually work. This is cotton, and I don't think that it's worked raglan style, so this could maybe work. As long as it's saffron. Saffron is 50 grams to 170. So let's say if you have 1,000 meters, how many skeins would that be? That would be 5, 6, 300 grams. You could make a size S probably, but that would be cutting it close with one cake t-shirt. That's not bad, actually. I like this one. I might even consider making this one day. I'll share with you guys because I'm just chatting and you don't know what I'm talking about. So we'll pop over again here. An example could be this one. As I did just quick math. As you can see here, this is the top I'm talking about. It's a warm apricot. It's crocheted in lace weight, sport weight yarn. And it's raglan style saffron. It's a nice t-shirt. I like it actually, to be honest. You can see a bit further down here, we have like this short explanation of how it's worked up. You do need to be able to read patterns like this. But you could probably squeeze out a size S in one cake. If you have 2 cakes, you're pretty unlimited. 2 cakes, you can get triple X. For those curious on this one, I will be sharing the pattern in chat. Ta-ta. This is just like a short suggestion, but you know, on Garn Studio's website, there are plenty of options. Just search on their A-weight yarn. You'll get plenty of suggestions, men, women, etc. But it helps if you do know some of their yarns, obviously. That one I could actually be open to maybe making. Maybe not that color, but I think it could be a fun make. I do need to complete construction of my Yarn Granny's cardigan. Oh, so you do have a project there. Lisa also says, suggest you to go to Ravelry, look up the yarn you have or similar, and then go to the projects tab. You can see all kinds of stuff people have made with the yarn. Lisa says, I made myself a V-stitch top with Stanley Cake last year. Pattern was by MJ Off the Hook. Susan is also not opposed to knitting with thin yarns. That does help a bit. That's also the benefit of a Garn Studio. If you go all the way to the top of that link, you can just like check for women, for example, if you want to make it for yourself. A bit further down, you can check yourself if you want to see or watch knitting or crochet patterns. And for the yarn group, if you pick yarn group A, that will be sport/lace/fingering weight, so the thinnest yarns they have. And there might be something that could work up for you. So that would be my suggestion in that case. Of course, that's not Ravelry, but all the patterns on Garn Studio is more or less free. So that's a good thing. They're just not always amazingly written at all. Anything but. My goal is to challenge myself a bit more knitting this year. And I'd love to actually get something designed. That would be cool too. And you're very welcome. Yeah, it can be a bit see-through, obviously. Tank top underneath. I think often in many cases, like for my knit sweaters, I often wear either a tank top or a basic underneath, especially sweaters. I'll wear basic underneath like this one. This is just pure cotton because I have sensitive skin. Like I like the warmth of a knit sweater, but I do not like the scratchiness it can have. And therefore I need basics underneath. 2, 4, 6, 8. And the good thing is nobody really cares about the basics as long as it's like covering up the skin. So I have, just like you, Susan, plenty of those thinner yet weight yarns, and I need to work on decreasing the amount I have. And a lot of them is probably going to turn into shawls because somehow that seems so simple, straightforward sometimes. I also fear I may buy yarn on my birthday when they send out the voucher from Hobby. Depends on what there is. But there is a chance I'll do because I still have some points, I believe, also for the point store. And they might expire. And I'd rather not let them expire, to be honest. Oh, yeah, but I have that already. But I'd rather not let them expire, but I'm a bit curious actually to alternatives. Yeah, no, not. Let's see. How many points do I actually have left? Point store. Yes, I will buy yarn at my birthday. Sorry, I'm gonna decrease my stash, but I have like 32,000 points and I don't want them to expire. Don't ask me how I accumulated them. I did monthly until last summer because I had Hobby Plus, so I got like 3 points. But I will most definitely, because I want to pick up some yarns from the point store. I'm probably gonna pick up more of the Krimke Soul Wool Morning Salutation from the vegan yarns. I can grab 10 of those for the price they charge currently, and then my points won't expire because you have like 2 years time on them. And I definitely did not buy that much yarn that I have so many points this year. So I need to do that to not have my points expire. And we are talking about that I can get 10 skeins of free yarn from this Krimke Soul Wool Morning Salutation. And what does it cost normally? So they don't sell it in hobby stores, but they do sell it in the Linde hobby. And here it's €4.75 per skein. So that basically means that that's €74.50 free yarn. I need to basically pick that up. So that is probably what I'll do. I still don't know what to knit with it because I already have like 20 skeins of various colors of it. So I'm just picking it up basically because it's to ensure it doesn't expire. Susan is knitting up crazy, sexy wool rib knit beanie in 3 colors to use up ball leftovers from a knitting cat ear beanies with it. Okay. Using 9mm needles, that should work up quickly. Lisa says she just sent me an email, so give me one moment to open my email. Ta-ta. Oh my goodness, it's snowy. Lisa's wanting to share her front yard with us, I think, which is evident. It's more snow than I have here. Look, Lisa's front yard, backyard, maybe front, I think. Somebody did drive at some stage, but that is snowy, yes. And a lot colder than it is here. Looks nice. Here it's getting dark outside, which means that it's starting to freeze. I'm sure we'll have snow one night. It will stay. Of course, it's supposed to be freezing. Husband went to work, so he'll clean up the driveway later. Sounds nice. We might have to find our salt, actually, if it keeps weather like this weekend, so we don't slip around on the ice outside, because this is potential dangerous, basically. Susan says she used 5,000 hobby points and got some scissors. Yeah, that's also an option. So with all the yarns, so I can get, you know, if you go into the hobby store, they have this Kremke Soul Wool Morning Salutation, and the value of this is about €5 a skein, which is really nice yarn. I just don't know what's in it from it, but I'll knit something. So I'm probably going to get some of that. Of course, I already have it in my stash. And I'm not really waiting on some of the others. Actually, oh, we do have some that's sold out. I have the Olive already in my stash, and I have the Rusty Red. So colorway 14 and colorway 24 is already in my stash. And I think I have 10 of each of those. I'm inclined to maybe add the cherry. Indigo is also quite nice. Bordeaux is nice. Oh, they have so many nice ones. Crickets. I also considered doing brass because I could combine it with the olive for a bigger project if I wanted to um, do color work of some kind. It's up in there. But because I can pick up 10 of those skeins, obviously, I will do that. All 3 points from playing bingo. Yay! Some of mine are definitely also 3 points from playing bingo, but I haven't played as much bingo lately as I used to. I should get better at actually just playing the hobby bingo, or at least locking on to get the points, right? I also shop enough from hobby to make that worth my while. How many orders did I make on hobby past year? Just for funsies, let's check. How much money did I spend on hobby 2025? My orders. Well, I only have 2 listed because they changed the website. That's about 60 euros. And I think I got another order in the beginning of the year at my birthday for also 60 or 80 or something like that. And that was what I also got the morning salutations in. I'll probably spend, I don't know, 150 euros last year, which is not much compared to what I did the year before. But I still want to spend less. Because I should use up more, right? What they did have really nicely earlier this year is that they had low shipping costs, like low free shipping, only 10 euros free shipping, which I really used some of. Also the 19 euros. I think I did that for both my other orders earlier this year. Now they're back up to that I need to shop for 30 euros to get free shipping, which is still not like a lot. So I can still get away with making a reasonably small order with my birthday discount. And get the free shipping and then get those 10 skeins for free, which is a really nice yarn. Then I'll figure out what I'll do. Maybe I should just get the brass one because it matches the olive. And I can do color work if I want. Because obviously, if I buy more of the same yarn of the others I have, I can't guarantee that I get the same dye lots. They have been in my stash for a long time. Susan wouldn't have gone shock yarn, but it's not available. I get that. So I just paid 8 USD for the shipping. Never bought directly from hobby, but made things with the Dolce Cashmere and Carnival from the USA mystery bag purchases. Okay. I don't remember. Have you ever been so lucky you won one of my giveaways when I was still doing those and had hobby yarns in them? Maybe. It could be if we get those tariffs removed that I'll do giveaways once in a while again. Oh, that's a shame. Maybe if I'll make 2K subscribers this year, I can do something. And optionally, I could do like gift card styled or something like that. I do think it's nice that Hobby now at least adds the tariffs including price so that people don't get shocked or surprised. This is then 2, 4, 6. I need 3 more single crochets. My goodness, we're almost at the end of the stream as well. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. That is my own fault. We went, we got distracted, and I made really good headway at the beginning of the stream when everybody was not very chatty. But it's okay, it's cool. I've done a row and a half. I've done a row and a half almost. We still need 2 sides of the green, and that is definitely not going to happen in this life. I can tell you that. So I'm probably going to do these 9, I would say. Then we'll have to find this mid-center. And then I think instead of turning this all around on my lap and starting crocheting on it, I am gonna fold it together and then I can work on it. And then depending on the schedule tonight, it depends on how late I get home from my appointment, I will maybe be able to finish up the last bits here. Because as I say, we need to, oh my goodness, that's big. This would be the center. That's a reminder stitch marker. Look, I can actually even that end, but not doing it. Ta-tum, ta-ta-tum. I did buy Aberdeen's wool Advent and received a $5 USD bill for it from UPS. Oh, nice. That's nice, actually. Let's see, can we do this without? It's a little bit like, oh, it is not default. Okay. I'm just trying to fold this huge thing. I hope to be able to show you this, like, this is side to side. See, I can't even hold it side to side in the screen. This is how big it is, basically. Like, now it's a quartered. This is the size of what I'm working on. Like, no wonder it's a challenge. I never had the yarn advent yet. I think this year I will get for myself the Aberdeen's Looks one. Oh, okay. I have plenty of yarn to use up and keep me busy too. I think we know that already. And we are back to my big issue when I am shopping yarn. I refuse to pay for shipping if they have an option for free shipping. Then I'll rather buy some extra yarn to cover for the free shipping, and that's how I end up accumulating more and more and more. And I still do that. It's what it is. I figure out some projects I can use it for, and I'll work it out like that. But yeah, 2 weeks until my birthday, which means that I will get a voucher soon. I'll have a week to use it, so I'll check what they have on sale, and then I'll see what fits, because I am definitely going to pick up those 10 skeins of morning salutation yarns. That makes really good sense to pick up, because you know it would be really sad if my points expired, right? So to prevent that, I will most definitely be doing that. And I should play more bingo. I should. Birthday yarn, exactly. It's a good excuse. Birthday. I think I'm very much allowed to get myself yarn for my birthday. But I need to keep it to a bare minimum. I just need to be able to cash in the voucher, which is basically just 10% off. I'm going to check what they have on sale compared to what I need for projects I have in my mind. Plus, I'm going to get those 10 skeins of creme pistol morning salutation yarns, because the yarn itself for those hobby points, they're worth almost 50 euros. It's like $50, right? So it's $50 worth of yarn that I can pick up for free before they expire. I really should do that. And because I pick up many, I can always option to sell it later. So it seems like a good investment. And then I'll just, if they still have the same shipping fees, it's 30 euros. I'll get 30 euros of yarn, 33 euros technically, a bit 34, based on the fact that I have a 10% voucher. So that's the plan. And then I'm trying to not buy any yarn until whatever dye needs arises, but I'm trying to use more yarn this year than I did last year, and I'm definitely trying to purchase less yarn. And I don't think I need to, because I have plenty in my stash, plenty for projects of all kinds, knit, crochet, garments, accessories, you name it. I really don't need to get a lot of yarn, but I just want to make sure that I at least use up my points, because if they're almost completely used up, the amount I have left can last for at least a year and a half. But it could also be that I'll look how it is next year at my birthday, but I probably don't have a lot then. And if that's the case, it's not a big deal, right? So that's all right. That's pretty much it for today. I am gonna finish up the green. If everything goes right, I'm gonna finish that up maybe tonight, and worst case tomorrow. And that means then once that row is complete, I have 6 rows to go. So right now, to be more exact, 6.5 rows to go, and we're finished. And in the weekend, if I'm good, I can do 2 rows a day. Maybe more, but let's not overassess my ability, because I might do other things as well. I have to do other things as well. So Susan says, shop your stash and pay for the free shipping items. Pay 4 euros for the free yarn? I could, but I'll check what they have on sale, because there is a few yarns that I'd like to see. And if they are on sale, I'll allow me to buy them. But if it's not tempting enough, then I could then also contemplate on mailing their customer support to ask when my points will start expiring, because that's not clear after they change their website. And then I can also postpone getting my free yarn. That's pretty much the thinking. There's always discount coupons. Often there is, not always, but often. Not always, but they often have sales. That depends on the yarns they have on sale and what I need. Anyhow, it is another 2 weeks before then, so I have time to think. And it's not finally decided yet either. I do have right now 3 VIPs going on. I have the Fleur, which I hope to have finished before the end of next week. I cast on another Rib Knit beanie to help me have a project to work on when I'm doing random stuff. That basically means there's a bigger chance that I can use up some yarn in my stash, and I can improve that pace. So that's really nice. That is also shopping my stash technically. And I have something constantly on the go. And I do still have the crochet bag that I started working on, the Daisy Days bag. I need to sew together the granny squares, and then I need to start crochet around them to create the actual bag. But I think the next time I'll work on the days is probably going to be once Fleur is finished. So I'm not sure it's going to be that much more progress. Right now it's just 6 loose squaring squares. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I had an absolutely wonderful afternoon in your company. I will be back on Wednesday with another live. And until then, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining in. Take care and happy crafting, and I'll see you on January the 7th. If anything changes that makes me go live before then, you'll see. Right now, I can't really coordinate or schedule them because I am depending on YouTube until I get my computer replaced. So take care and happy crafting. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for your likes and your joins and your shares and your hypes. It's much appreciated. Love you all. Until my next live or my next video. Bye.